Several people have reportedly been arrested in the Ukrainian city of Odessa in connection to a plot to assassinate Russian Prime Minister Vladimir Putin. Russian state television has reported that the suspects received instructions from a Chechen rebel leader to kill Putin ahead of the country's March presidential election. Putin is expected to win, giving him a third term as the country's top political leader. But despite tensions with Chechen rebels, Russia's Muslim regions are generally expected to strongly support Vladimir Putin in the upcoming vote. In past elections, some predominantly Islamic regions have given Putin and his United Russia party over 90% of the votes cast. Religious leaders in places such as oil-rich Tatarstan, which lies some 800 kilometers east of Moscow, say that Putin's support for Islamic causes is a key reason for this level of support.
If we ask, they give us land to construct religious buildings. With God's help, this attitude and this understanding will prevail in the future, too. Obviously, on our side, we try not to do anything directed against the law or against stability of the state.
While some critics say that support in excess of 90% is largely a reflection of electoral fraud, there is widespread acceptance that Islam has flourished in Russia under Putin's leadership.
I started to pray when I was in the second form at high school. That was in 91, 92. At that time, there were predominantly old people in the mosque. You could count young people with the fingers of your hand. But now it's the opposite. There are more and more young people in the mosque. The number of worshippers, the number of young people coming to the mosque is rising with every year. It is happening because of help from the state.
Political analysts suggest that the rejuvenation of Islam in Russia under Vladimir Putin is part of a cynical Kremlin ploy to co-opt regional Muslim leaders into providing security in what are some of the country's most volatile regions.
Muslim regions are left to their leaders so they can enrich themselves. In return, it's required from them to contain violence, terrorist attacks, kidnappings and killings as much as possible within the borders of their regions so it doesn't spill over to the rest of Russia. And one more demand, in return, is to provide the required election results. It is their obligation, and they oblige.
Russia's most unstable region is the North Caucasus, where as many as 700 people were killed last year in clashes between security officials and militants. 2 civil wars have been fought in the region since the fall of the Soviet Union, but in spite of this violent recent history, the president of Ingushetia remains positive.
Everything that has been done in Ingushetia over the past 10 years was done under the leadership of Vladimir Putin. Therefore, these people understand that to elect Vladimir Putin will mean the continuation with this whole direction further. This is a perspective, this is positive for the future, this is a real chance to live better than today.
With Muslims accounting for as much as 15% of Russia's population, their votes will be highly useful to Vladimir Putin, as his poll ratings among other sections of society are nowhere near as high as they were during his first term as president. So while Kremlin support for Russia's Islamic leaders may be very much a marriage of convenience, this relationship seems set to remain a stabilizing influence on Russia's complex regional politics.